Hi, beautiful child of God. Now, I want to talk about something very important. Um, for you to see someone going in lengths, okay, and strides with God, just know that they have sacrificed a lot to be where they are. There is a huge price to pay to walk with God. And that's why Jesus said that before you start building a house, you will always have to first calculate the costs. And so following him is costly, and following him is a sure bet at the same time. So you have to choose whether you are ready for the reward, which is very, very real. As long as you go by his standards, as long as you go by his principles, you shall arrive. And this doesn't matter whether you are poor or rich. God's principles cut across each and every human being. That's how fair God is, and I love him so much for being like that. Otherwise, if he wasn't that fair, I wonder how we would have survived in this world, in a world where we know full of corruption and so many shortcuts. I just love God because in his presence, I find justice. I find, solutions. I find everything fairly and equally. And I know there are many who don't like that. But that's why it's a choice at the end of the day. And I want to talk about giving, because as most Christians just want to receive. They just want to receive, They are always constantly asking God for things. But they don't want to listen to him when he gives his instructions on what to do. For example, you might be praying to God today for a breakthrough. And before that breakthrough comes through, God wants first to see your status, your heart, the status of your heart. Human beings are wicked. That's a fact. And a lot of times we want to rush to God for him to just give us things. We just want the superficial. We don't want to get into the deep, the intimate. We do not want to be intimate with him. Yet God is constantly seeking intimacy with his people. Now, sometimes we go to him, you want him to come through for you. But before all that, God wants first to check your heart to see whether you love him. Even you want to know whether someone loves you each and every day. Why do we treat God as different? Like God, you go to God, we all know the story of Abraham. God promising him that he would give him so many things, so many descendants. And he also promised that he would give him a son. And we all know how long it took to wait for that son. And when the son came, just imagine, after waiting all that while, still God would test Abraham with the same blessing that he has given him. And it's the same thing that God does even with our lives today. He might not do it exactly as he did time ago, but everyone's exam is different. My exam is not as the same as yours. Depending with what God has called us for, depending with what God wants you to do for this world, he will give you assignments that are different. Your work is to obey. No matter how hard it is, your work is to obey. And when you look at Abraham, he was willing and ready to give out the son. As long as it's God, I will give out anything. And we all see what happened. That God is not that wicked that he would want to kill your son, or to kill that blessing, or to take away the blessing that he has given to you. A lot of times he's always testing our hearts to see where He stands in our hearts. But most of the time we fail that. And that's why, again, it's so difficult to get breakthrough. Because God is waiting on you to walk in obedience while you are waiting for Him to come through. And today I just want to ask you, wherever you are, try being obedient to God. He gives the grace to be obedient. He gives the grace to help you just walk through His trials and His tests. And His tests are not there to punish you. His tests are there to give you what you want, that which you desire. He has to test your heart. He has to know where you have put Him. Okay? So there is no shortcut about that. When I remember the number of things that God has taken me through, when I remember the kind of things He has asked me to give out, and He asked me to give out, to empty my account at a certain time when I really needed that money myself. And He told me to give it out to someone who was in need more than I was. Painfully, yes. And I did. I took out the amount and sent it to him. An unbelievable amount. And when you see people making strides in this kingdom, just know so much has been sacrificed. I'm giving this as an example because I have walked with God this while, and I know even the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding that you might see in me has not just come from the blues. It's God pouring inside of me as I walk with obedience with Him. So I want to ask you today, if you want to walk faithfully with God, just be ready to obey His commandments. Obedience is better than sacrifice. No matter where you stand, whether you are rich or poor, it doesn't matter. What will take you through and give you a fulfilling life is your obedience to God. Listening to Him and doing what He wants you to do is the game changer. Don't look elsewhere. That's the secret. I love you all, and He loves you so much. That's why He's using many of us to just bring these words of comfort and words of wisdom so that we may walk a path that you have understanding and you know where you are headed and you know what you are doing and why you are doing it. Bye-bye for now.